Hey there guys, welcome to the next time lapse here on the channel. This is going to be a 9/11 memorial time lapse, and it's going to be dedicated to all the victims and their families of the 9/11 terrorist attacks. And first thing I'm going to do is actually put a white background on it. There's going to be a few different images that I'm going to put on this image that I'm going to make, and you'll start to see those pretty soon. But first I'm going to make a white background for it. And this is a picture that I found on Google Images. It's kind of like a silhouette. It did get a little distorted when I blew it up really big on the computer, so I had to compensate for that, and you'll see me smooth out some of those lines when I start to cut it out here. So now I'm going to work on one of the towers first, and then I'm going to work on the second one right after I'm done with this one. So I'm going to peel that up first, and just to peel the whole thing up, and I'm going to situate it right on top of the canvas here. I'm going to use the other one to line it up, kind of give an idea of where to put it, and I'm going to stick it right about there. So now it's time to work on the second tower, and this one's going to be a little bit bigger because of that long antenna on the top. And so I'm just going to cut this one out pretty much the same way. A little bit of a kind of like a skyscraper towards the bottom there, kind of a little bit of a, I don't know, it's really just a little background image on the bottom there. So I'm going to apply that and then just kind of cut it off so it looks a little bit even. There's going to be a little bit on the inside though, as you're going to see. So now I'm going to apply those together, and the trick is trying to get it down the right way. Now I'm going to work on the antenna on the top, and then I'm going to stick that on using some of that HD clear packaging tape, and then just slowly going to cut that out. I did use a new hobby knife blade for this time lapse, so it should be cutting through the tape pretty easily, and this one gave me a little bit of trouble though despite that, so I had to do a little bit of extra trimming to make sure that it came up nice and clean. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to peel that up and stick it right on. So very carefully going to take that off the cutting mat and then put it right over there. And this is going to be the first of actually 4 images on the time lapse I'm going to make. So that's the first one with the 2 towers. And the next thing I'm going to do is actually going to make a pentagon out of a few strips, and that's going to be a tribute to all the victims of the Pentagon attack. And I'm going to cut out 5 of those strips, obviously. Going to peel them up so I can get at them a little bit easier. Alright, so now I'm going to apply these towards the bottom here. And the trick was trying to figure out exactly where to put it, because I'm kind of just building a shape from a whole bunch of different strips here. So I kind of have to look at an image of a pentagon and then try to apply it as best I can. And I'm going to have to do a little bit of, modding just to make sure that it does end up, even on all the sides and everything. So I have to kind of rearrange them a little bit, which you're going to see me doing here. So I did a little bit of rearranging. Now it'll look pretty good. Now I'm going to actually cut out ones that are slightly smaller, and I'm actually going to make another one inside it to make it look more like the actual building. And these strips are a little bit longer than they need to be, and you'll see that when I kind of put them on. I'm going to stick them down, and then I'm going to trim off a little bit as well. So find a good place to put that. And was really unsure where to put it at first, but it got a little bit easier as I went along. At that point I realized that I needed to do a little bit of trimming, because obviously the strips were way too big. Alright, so just applying all these strips here. What I want to make sure is that the space in between the 2 pentagons is more or less pretty much even on all of the sides, and that took me a little bit of rearranging them to make sure that it worked. So there's the pentagon on there. Now I'm going to cut out 2 numbers, 93, and that's of course a tribute to all of the victims of United 93 on September 11th. And I'm going to cut those 2 numbers out on the beige tape, and eventually these are going to be stuck smack dab in the middle of the pentagon. So cutting out those strips, or those images now. First with the 9 and then the 3, and I'm very carefully going to peel them up. And need to do a little bit of trimming just to make sure that it came up nice and clean. Now I have to peel them up, and I'm going to stick those, like I said, smack dab in the middle of the image here, and try to arrange them as best I can. So there's the 9, and then I'm going to work on the 3. There's one more image that I'm going to put on after this. It's actually going to be some letters, and you'll see those pretty soon. So putting the 3 on, making sure that looks nice. Now what I'm going to do is actually going to put a saying. It's a Latin saying. It's called semper memento, and it means always remember. So I'm going to cut out the letters from this strip here, and then I'm going to put those onto the actual top part of the painting here. Decided to remove the S because the S was looking a little crazy. I'm going to freehand all these letters, of course, so I got to make sure they're roughly all the same size and the same thickness for the different, letters. So there's the E. I'm going to work on the M. It's going to be a little difficult to see as I'm cutting them out, but you'll be able to see all of the letters once I peel up the little strips of tape that are in between them. And that should be the P, and then there's another E I'm cutting out, and then finally the R. And the trick here is freehanding it pretty well and always making sure that all those letters are roughly the same width and everything. They're all the same height because I'm cutting them out from a strip of tape that's a consistent height, but I got to make sure that they're all roughly the same size, the same width. So I'm going to put that around the top. So that's good. This is going to be the first saying, and like I said, the second one is going to be memento. And then I'm going to cut out a second piece there, and I'm going to be doing the M first. I know it's really hard to see exactly what I'm doing unless you look really closely, but like I said, you'll be able to see once I pull up all the extra images. Extra little pieces of tape in between the letters. So working on that word now. Had to put the T and the O on that second strip. Now you can really see the letters hidden in there. So there's the T as well as the O. And now what I'm going to do is going to stick that entire image, just piece together those, all those images right onto it. And then this will be the final final image for the time lapse here. Semper memento. It's Latin for always remember. So put on the N. And like I said, this time lapse is a tribute to all the victims of the 9/11 attacks and their families. So hope you guys liked the video, and semper memento. Always remember. Catch you next time.